This is Scott Welch from Muscle Insider Magazine. We are here live with four-time Miss Olympia figure champion, Cydney Gillon. How are you doing today?
I'm good. It's been a busy couple of weeks between the show and then my wedding and then honeymoon, and then now I'm here back to work.
Yeah, you were in St. Lucia and you got married just after the Olympia. That's just incredible. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, because my wedding was supposed to be on the day of the show, but it got switched. So then I had to push everything back 2 weeks. I didn't want my wedding on Christmas. I was like, well, it's the next week, so I switched it back.
Amazing. Now, how did you plan a wedding on top of planning your Olympia prep? I mean, that's just tremendous. People spend a whole year just planning for a wedding, let alone to be defending your title.
Right. Well, I was fortunate enough, because I'm such a big planner. I made sure I planned my wedding before I was even engaged. So I had it all written in my phone. So that way when I got engaged, I was like, oh, I'm already good. So then I had everything laid out. I found the venue the exact same week that I got engaged. So I had everything planned from then. So just the small things kept going. My mom and my maid of honor really helped me going through, because it was just it can be kind of hectic, especially dealing with wedding venues, and it's a lot of issues that pop up with them. So but we made it through.
Incredible. Now, your mother had some sicknesses this last 2020. She was okay through that, and she actually made it to the Olympia to see you win 4 times, and then she came to the wedding as well. Is everything okay on that side?
As good as it can be for right now.
Yeah.
So she's doing what she can, but yeah, so she made it to the wedding. That was one of the most important things, besides making it to the Olympia, and just taking every day as we go.
She must be so proud to see you become what you've become, obviously as a professional athlete as well as now a wife. That's just every mother's dream. So
yeah,
amazing. Now listen, let's get back to something now. You set a record at the Olympia, so you are the first person. You've tied the record at 4 wins that Nicole Wilkins did, but Nicole Wilkins didn't do it consecutively. Only Devonna Medina, who was the first Miss Olympia figure champion, she got 3 wins. You got 4 in a row. What does that feel like to basically be the record holder of consecutive wins now?
It was one of my main goals this prep, and that's the key thing that I focused on. I knew what I wanted to accomplish. Like I'm never one to talk about my goals. I just want to accomplish them, and then I'll talk about it after. But that was one of my main things this prep, was just like, okay, yeah, I always give myself something to strive for, and making history in that manner was my main thing to go for. So to make it actually happen, there's really no words for it. It's something that I really aspire to, and I just want to be the best I can be at all times.
Incredible. Now, how did COVID-19 and the shutdown of gyms and things like that this last year, how did that affect your Olympia prep? Because you didn't do the Arnolds this year.
That's right. So thankfully I didn't, because that would have been a whole other issue happening. But for me, it didn't make much of a difference, because I don't need to lift a bunch of weights at this point. I can get the activity through plyos and the stuff that helped me build my physique anyway, from track and plyometrics and different things like that. I don't necessarily need to be in the gym to accomplish the look that I go for. It helps, of course, but I don't need it. And at the same time, I'd already started making my home gym. So I had just enough weight where it was like 5 or 10 pounds or 20 pounds. I could kind of make that work. Just depends on how you stack your workout. Yep. And that's just a part of knowing how your body works and how your training works, and how you make 20 pounds feel like 50. So you just kind of make your plan kind of around that. And so next thing you know, Georgia was open, because we didn't really shut down. So it was kind of a short transition.
Now, talk a bit about that, because a lot of people who read Muscle Insider, they think that the more weight they lift, the bigger muscle development they're going to get, or the more defined they're going to get. But talk about the importance of it's how you lift, not what you lift.
Absolutely. And how you lift is the most important, because if you're slinging a bunch of weight and your form is improper, or you're not even feeling the muscle that you want to activating, you're activating everything else around it, there's no point in really lifting, because you're not going for what you're going for. So I think that's an important part as you're trying to grow and as you're trying to better yourself, to make sure that you're actually activating the muscle you want to. And that comes into play with body work and a lot of different recovery techniques and things like that. But lifting properly can make 5 pounds feel like 50. It just depends on what you're doing, how you're doing, and what your rest time is. But I think a lot of people don't take a lot of the small details into account when they're thinking about their training.
Now, you went into this Olympia ahead of schedule because you are a major goal setter, as you've pointed out. Now, how far out from the contest did you feel you were ready this year?
We were a pound away from last year's Olympia stage weight at a month out.
Wow.
So at that point, I was like, oh, let's see where this can go. Because once my body starts losing, it loses very quickly, and it just keeps going, keeps going, keeps going. So at that point, I knew, I said, okay, this is a good space to be in. The calmer I get, the better my body responds. So that was a key thing. Because once I kind of see like, okay, we're already, because my thing is being better than the last look that I came on stage with. So I said, okay, we're already right here. That means it's only going to get better. So you can kind of mellow out, still keep the intensity where it is that got me there, but just kind of mellow out and know that everything will be what it's supposed to be when it comes time to get on stage. So that was a very much a comforting thing. And it's kind of like when people start getting anxious, you realize you have way less anxiety when you're actually ahead of schedule and you're prepared. So when you know you're prepared, it just makes everything better.
How did you find that the changing of locations to obviously Florida, which is near Georgia, versus the traditional Las Vegas, how did that affect you?
It didn't at all. I loved it. I'm good in dry heat, humidity, whatever the temperature is, the environment is. I'm good in it because it works out that I live in Arizona before shows, so I get used to the dry heat. But I'm born and raised in Georgia, so I'm used to the humidity. So no matter what, I'm kind of good either way. So I wasn't concerned about it. I was happy that my flight would be shorter back home. So that was my main thing. I was really excited about that.
Incredible. Okay, so now taking me through this, one of the things I didn't know about you that I don't think a lot of people know is you were on the TV show Survivor.
Yeah.
And you made it almost winning this thing. How did that all happen?
Well, it was kind of a fluke, really. So I was getting ready for my first Olympia, and I had nothing to watch because that was back when I was a straight cardio bunny. So I was like, oh, I'm going to do my fasted cardio for an hour type of deal. So I needed something to watch on TV. So I said, what haven't I watched? And I went back and I started, okay, let's click on Survivor. So I watched backwards from the season that was like season 23 at the time. And I watched backward down to one. So that was how it worked. So at the same time, within the same week, I was up late for no reason, and a casting call popped on my TV screen. It was like the universe was just putting everything into my face. Okay. So I said, hey, Mom, I think I want to go to this casting call. And then so that same weekend, we went to the casting call, and next thing you know, that was all she wrote.
Now, you lost a certain amount of muscle while you were on that. And one of the funniest things I saw was that if they asked you for three things, what you actually wanted was BCAAs, so that you wouldn't lose muscle. And I think it was family members and maybe friends that could cheer you on and keep you positive throughout the island experience. Is that accurate?
It's pretty accurate because I was like, if I can't eat any food, can I at least get some aminos? Like anything. Anything. I was really trying to talk them into it. They're like, no, Sid, you can't have anything. I'm like, oh man, please.
Wow, just incredible. I just didn't, I mean, obviously, how important is it? And it must be, I mean, I'm answering the question without obviously asking the question, but how important is goal setting for your career? Because you obviously had an athletic background when you were younger and you put your mind to it. You knew when you were going to be married before you got engaged. Like you're really driven on that. Is that, how important are goal setting for you and your success that you've had thus far?
It's the number one thing for me. I've always been this way since I was a little kid. I said something, if it leaves my mouth, I'm doing it. So that's why I'm very careful about what I say, because if once I say it, I got to go ahead and do it. So that's why I just strategize and make sure everything kind of falls into place. And the universe tends to work pretty well in my favor just from keeping my vibes good. I like to keep my vibes really good and everything tends to work out. But yeah, goals are everything for me for my entire life, from school to track to bodybuilding to life in general. If I don't have a goal, I kind of get lost. So I never had to deal with that. So I just stick with my goals and keep planning and planning and planning. And then I add in spontaneity here and there, but it's like still a goal spontaneity. Like I had a goal set, and I'm going to put this in place to make sure that goal gets set. So it's pretty much everything I do is a goal.
Now, nutrition. You talked a bit about training, and at the level that you're at now, you don't need a ton of weight to keep making small improvements along the way. And you can train at home, and you do a lot of plyometrics, etc. Would you say that if you could do it all over again and you wanted to do what you do, that you might have spent less time lifting heavy weights and things in the early part of your career, or what would you do if you could do it again?
I think I would keep it exactly the same. So I think that lifting because I used to powerlift in college for track because it was mandatory. Lifting as heavy as I did for my first 10 years of training allows me to do what I do now.
Yeah.
So I'd already built the foundation. I definitely think you need weight in the beginning when you're trying to really create that shape, create that foundation. But once you get to the point where you don't necessarily need to grow anymore, that's when you can start changing your different styles and things like that. So I think I wouldn't change anything. I definitely still lift heavy, lift strategically in the beginning, and really build my foundation really, really strong. And then I'll kind of start veering off and doing different things and mixing weights in here and there.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the powerlifting foundations from champions like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Frank Zane, Franco Colombo. They had a powerlifting background. Sergio Oliva, all 4 Olympia winners. And it seems like powerlifting has gotten really cool in the last 5 to 10 years. And now, obviously, you see a lot of the girls in the gym now. You see sumo deadlifts constantly.
Yep.
Go back 10 years, you never see that exercise. So it's cool to see that you had a foundation in powerlifting before you got into this. So it makes a lot of sense. Talk to me about nutrition. What is your nutrition strategy? Are you a keto person? Are you a moderate carb person? What is your sort of strategy?
So I've done all diets. That's how I kind of speak on it for my preference. I've done the keto when I was doing track season because I couldn't necessarily drop my calories, so I had to run. My coach was like, "That's not gonna happen. You figure it out, but that's gonna happen." So I literally would only have my first 2 years as a pro, as IFBB pro. I only had 3 weeks to get ready for shows. So then I would do keto. So it was like 3 weeks keto, get on stage, and so I would do it like that. But once I graduated, I didn't have to do that anymore, and I found it didn't work as well for me anymore. So then I went to a lot more carb-based. I stick to a regular meal plan. I don't do macros. So whatever my coach writes down, I do that. But it's definitely a very, very balanced. It's carbs, it's fats, it's everything. Everything tends to get pretty high the further we get into improvement season.
And your coach is Damian Serjova?
Segovia,
sorry.
Yeah.
The pro creator, is that, or sorry, the producer. I love that.
The producer, yeah.
Cool. How's that been working with him?
Amazing. It's been amazing. We've been together for 5 years now. So it's just been amazing. It's really amazing to see him work and to see how we've done 19 plus pro shows together, and every single prep has been different. So just to see how his mind works and to see how in sync we are and to see how we grow, and we kind of just ride the same wavelength at all times. So I think that's pretty cool. It's been my best experience actually having a coach. I've never really had a coach in terms of bodybuilding. I had a friend that did my nutrition my first 2 years, but in terms of having a coach that kind of just watches everything, it's been an amazing experience. And for it to be my one and only coach, I think it's a blessing because I've heard a lot of horror stories. So I would say mine has been extremely positive.
Now, going into 2021, have you given any thoughts on the goal sheet in terms of what shows are going to be on the list, or is it just going to be Olympia? What are the goals in 2021 looking like?
You never know. Never know.
Well,
I'm still waiting on the sheet to kind of finalize so I can see what's going to be what, but then it's still COVID. So we don't know what shows are really going to happen at the end of the day. So I'll keep planning around that, but I'll keep my eyes on some things.
Okay, and in terms of your body now, what do you feel like you need to improve, if anything? Because obviously you're a goal setter and you don't want to just be stagnant because obviously the sport evolves and you have obviously new competitors coming in all the time that are hungry. What for you is the next goal for your physique?
So for me, it's just going to be letting my body do what it does naturally. So I'm getting older, and that benefits me at this point because I started this sport as a child. So watching myself from 14 to 28, it's a completely different person. But even if I wasn't lifting, it would just be different anyway because the muscle maturity just comes with it as you keep moving, keep growing, keep training. So I think watching and seeing, just keeping the same consistency I've always had and keeping my intensity as high as I've always had it, I think just watching the natural progress of what my body wants to do, that'll be the cool thing to watch. Because at the end of the day, my body is very, very, she does what she wants to do when she wants to do it. So I just do the guidance, and I stick to my plan, and then she'll adjust and she'll kind of figure out which route she wants to go. So it'll be cool to watch and see, because I never know what I look like until I'm on stage anyway. So we'll see what next year looks like.
I have you down at 2014. You came to Toronto. Any way we can get you to compete in Canada? That would be really cool to see.
That was Toronto was amazing. I love Toronto. It was really fun. I did Toronto Pro twice, and that was really amazing. That show's in like July, so that's a little bit far away from everything else. But you never know.
Okay, that's awesome. So no, this is good. I mean, I'm really excited to see you continue to progress. I mean, you know, tying the record at 4, you obviously have to do 5 to be the official all-time record holder. If you can do it, I think that would just be a tremendous accomplishment.
I think so too. We'll see what happens for this next year, but I'm working always.
Amazing. Okay, well, listen, thanks so much for taking the time. I mean, obviously, you've come back from your honeymoon. You're now here getting caught up on everything, and we really thank you for taking the time to talk to our fans. You've just done such an amazing accomplishment with your career, and it's really a motivator to see how important goals are, and obviously some of the information you shared with us, I think people can apply. I really like the part that you don't necessarily have to have a gym, because in Canada, a lot of the gyms are shut down.
Right. So
we sort of try to tell people that you can do this a little bit from home. Obviously, you're at a high caliber, so you don't need as much as someone who's starting right from scratch. But it's just amazing to see someone at your level not having, you know, to have to go to the gym day in, day out like you may have, you know, or other people may do.
Right. I think the quarantine too also helped me in terms of my intensity, because I came up, you get really creative. I came up with so many different leg day workouts that I was burning maybe 200 more calories than I burned in the gym. So I was like, oh, that's kind of problematic. So I said, when I go back to the gym, I need to be burning as many calories as I was burning at my house. So then that leveled me up too, because I was on a roll in the house. You could do weighted step up walks up and down your stairs. It was a lot of things. Like you can really make it intense if you know what you're doing and kind of how to get that heart rate up there.
Amazing. Well, listen, how do fans get a hold of you, follow you? Obviously, we're here on Instagram, but where else can they go to find out more about you? I think obviously just what more can people do?
You can come to my Instagram page at vitamin_C, and I also have my posing business page, which is Official Cake Factory Fitness. So if any of you need posing help of any category, I got you covered. And beyond that, I got Silence Clothing. You can come to my website for that too. But that's about it so far.
Now, your name came up recently. I understand you helped another Olympia winner win the Olympia this year. Tell us a bit about that.
That's my girl, Andrea. We started working together earlier this year before her pro win in Omaha. Yeah. So she was coming over for women's physique, and we really wanted to fine tune her posing. So she came to me, and we really made some magic happen. I'm very proud of her journey, and just really making sure that she was at her all-time best. So it was beautiful to watch.
Awesome. Listen, thank you very much, Cydney. Really appreciate it. And we will definitely tell our fans where to go in the captions and stuff like that we put when we push this out there. Thanks so much for your time today.
You're welcome. Y'all have a great day.